Things are on the up. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Spotify has reported its Q3 22 earnings. It has 456 million monthly active users. That's up 20% year-on-year. Ad revenue, led by podcasting, is up 19% year-on-year at €385 million, which is 12.8% of the company's total revenue. They did lose money in the quarter, €228 million, and predict a bigger loss next quarter too. In other news, Spotify has added podcasts to its app in South Korea, and the company has complained about anti-competitive behavior from Apple after Apple forced Spotify, that's their words, into what they consider a suboptimal purchase flow for audiobooks. Apple requires a 30% cut from any in-app purchase. In Sounds Profitable with Podsite Advisor this week, Brian Barletta looks at the transparency issues around podcast downloads, brought up by the recent revelation that podcast publishers have been buying plays in mobile games. It's clear that we are reaching a breaking point of confidence in the download, he says. Podcast One, which closed an $8.1 million funding round in July, has posted a number of increased metrics for podcasts in its slate. Magellan AI says that BetterHelp remained the number one podcast advertiser, spending $7.3 million in September. Amazon and HelloFresh are also in the top three. Samsung is the advertiser that increased spending the most, spending $2.2 million. Evooks has launched a new ad marketplace called Ad Voices, the first marketplace in the Spanish language. It allows advertisers access to podcasts and video podcasts that best fit their target audience. A case study into 14 daily news podcasts in Spain has been published. The 16-page report includes some download numbers, resourcing details, and where they're most listened to. The Asia Podcast Festival Awards are open for entry. Submission deadline is November the 13th. It's just 15 Singaporean dollars to enter. That's just $10 US. And the Publisher Podcast Awards 2023 are also now open for entry. Submission deadline is December the 9th. And the monetization platform Poditize is raising $1 million in funding. The listing claims it's used by over 1,000 podcasters and has $1.2 million in revenue. In April, it tried to raise $100,000 and managed to raise $187,000. And tomorrow in Pod News, a privacy story unlike no other. Revealed, the podcast app that sends your location to every podcast you play. In People News, Annie Rose Strasser has joined the New York Times as executive producer of Opinion Audio. She was with BuzzFeed and Gimlet and ran The Journal. Mia Lobel has been promoted to head of content at Pushkin Industries. She's a founding member of the company and has helmed Pushkin's flagship show, Revisionist History, since its inception in 2016. And Peter Clowney has joined Pushkin Industries as VP of Content. He will executive produce and edit Revisionist History while developing new episode formats, envisioning live experience extensions, and formulating strategy to usher the show into a new era. He joins from Stitcher. And in podcast news, photo website SmugMug, which purchased Flickr in 2018, has acquired popular photo podcast This Week in Photo, or TWIP. The podcast, which is not part of Leo Laporte's Twit, started in 2018. The host Frederick Van Johnson is also joining the company. Foul Play Crime Series is one of 31 crime podcasters who've collaborated on a two-part, 5-hour podcast called A Nightmare Before Halloween. Each crime podcaster shares an average of an 8-minute spooky tale. The special show is on all the podcasters' feeds. And happy birthday to No Agenda, which posted its first episode on October the 26th, 2007. The show is currently on episode 1497 and is hosted by John C. Dvorak, who gets no spam, and Adam Curry, widely credited as one of the inventors of podcasting. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.